we're talking about, and the fight over the arrest of Delhi Minister Satyendar Jain and his party, the Aam Aadmi Party, continuing to back him. Today, the BJP came out all guns blazing and questioned the Chief Minister for his reluctance to take action against the minister in jail. All right, joining us on Times Now, we have Union Minister Smriti Irani. Ma'am, let me start straight away by asking you, when you make these series of charges, the Aam Aadmi Party returns them by saying that the transactions you are investigating are between 2015 and 2017, and at that time, Mr. Jain had got nothing to do with the companies under scrutiny. He had already resigned in 2013, then why should he be held culpable for what they did at the time when he wasn't even associated?
So what the Aam Aadmi Party is saying basically is that Satyendar Jain was corrupt, yes, that Satyendar Jain was found to be party to and directed Hawala entry operations, which was also reflected in the Delhi High Court order, but now he is super clean. Is that the position of the Aam Aadmi Party? And why I am referring back to this Delhi High Court order is because on page 16, point number 30, and with your permission I'd like to read, may I?
Yes, please go on.
On page 16, point number 30, and I'm quoting here from the order, the petitioners have themselves, petitioners, two gentlemen, Ankush Jain and Vaibhav Jain, on behalf of the companies. The petitioners have themselves enclosed a copy of the order dated 24th May 2017, passed in respect of the Benamidar, that is ADPL, which inter alia notes, and here's the important part, that the cash that was routed through accommodation entries in the garb of share capital / premium in fact belonged to Mr. Satyendra Kumar Jain, and it was as his direction that the entire transaction was orchestrated. So is the Aam Aadmi Party of the opinion that those who orchestrate Hawala entries into company accounts, are they clean?
They're saying that he's an architect, he has firms. The firms associated with him cannot stop doing business just because he's a minister, but he now does not have any direct involvement. That is their charge. It's at an arm's distance.
So let me say two things. Firstly, he claims to be an architect, and my request to your channel would be dig up what is his association in the 1980s with CPWD, whether he was an assistant or a full architect. That is something that I can leave for the press to investigate. What is interesting is that Mr. Kejriwal himself has accepted that fee was paid for architecture work to be done to Mr. Satyendar Jain, and Mr. Jain has accrued that fee. What is interesting is on that land stands no building at all. Have you known an architect who has received 16 crores for building nothing? Secondly, when you say that Satyendar Jain has no connection with the company, might I remind you that there are companies in which shareholding is held by his wife, there are companies in which shareholding is held by his father, and these companies are what I have named today in my press conference. I am naming them again for you. Paryas Info Solutions Private Limited, Indo Metal Impex Private Limited, JJ Estate, Ideal Estate Private Limited, Akinchan Developers Private Limited, Mangal Yatan Projects Private Limited. These companies I have quoted to you today. And what is interesting more so is that from this money, this black money, 200 bighas of land was bought in the vicinity of unauthorized colonies while Mr. Satyendar Jain was in charge of that portfolio, and then these colonies were regularized by the Aam Aadmi Party government. Can they refute Satyendar Jain's position in the Aam Aadmi Party government for this entire exercise of regularization?
So basically,
can they refute that this 200 bigha zameen was bought in Delhi along these unauthorized colonies? Let me tell you where the areas are.
So if I may, you're saying that this is not just about money laundering, it's also the minister using his position to tell his family...
No, allow me to give you the names of the places. North and Northwest Delhi, Kerala, Uchandi, Nizampur, Budham. And insofar as the shareholding goes, my information according to the details of each shell company is as follows. Srimati Poonam Jain replaced Shri Satyendar Jain as director of the company, owns majority shareholding in the company. Company Indo Metal Impex Private Limited. Prayas Info Solutions. Srimati Jain replaced Shri Jain as director, owns major stake again in this company. Has been disclosing marginal income, transforming huge amount of money into the bank account of none other than Shri Satyendar Jain. JJ Ideal Estate Private Limited. As on 31st March 2015, Srimati Poonam Jain, father Ramcharan Jain, Satyendra Kumar Jain, HUF holds majority share totaling 54% in the company.
So, you're saying that not only was there money laundering, there was also an effort to try and benefit his company by telling them in advance where the land would be regularized, so that they would gain.
Please understand, JJ Ideal Estate Private Limited, the annual report of this company in the year 2015 as per the website of the MCA has disclosed that Shri Satyendra Kumar Jain and Srimati Poonam Jain are key management personnel. This is a self-declaration. And the part of the Delhi High Court judgment that I have read out to you, the order copy, also says that the petitioners themselves have disclosed that the Hawala entry operations happened at the direction of Satyendar Jain. Not due to the knowledge of somebody in Satyendar Jain's family, but at the direction of Satyendar Jain. This is 2019 August.
But today Mr. Kejriwal says, look, I have seen all of the evidence.
Since
I have similarly seen the evidence.
Read every document.
I have also seen I have also seen the evidence. If you'll just give me, if you'll allow me.
Since Mr. Arvind Kejriwal says, Hanji.
So, Mr. Kejriwal says, I have seen the evidence against Vijay Singla.
He has read every document.
I saw the evidence against Satyendra Jain, and on my own, I sacked the Punjab Health Minister. There is a reason why I am backing the Delhi Health Minister, because I know.
Ma'am, please, in his projected position, Mr. Kejriwal claimed that he has an IRS officer's history, and hence he thinks all these papers are kosher. Can you please in your debate find me one IRS officer who tells you that Hawala entry operations should get legitimate support in this country? Can you please get me an IRS officer who tells you, and this is not my observation but the Delhi High Court, can you please find me one IRS officer, not a CA but an IRS officer, who will tell you in your studio that Hawala entry operations are legal?
Well, then why would he sack Vijay Singla and shelter Satyendra Jain?
That is something only Kejriwal ji can answer. What is the compulsion to keep Satyendra Jain so close that it's not Manish Sisodia, it is not Sanjay Singh, but Kejriwal himself who comes out and gives him a certificate, a clean chit?
Doesn't just give him a certificate.
The question that I asked in the litany of questions I posed in my press conference today, ma'am, if you allow me.
Yes.
One more question was, 200 bighas of land was brought in the vicinity of unauthorized colonies, post which those colonies were regularized by the government of Delhi, which is the Aam Aadmi Party government, of whose chief is Arvind Kejriwal. Now, Mr. Kejriwal has time and again in the public domain claimed that he knows everything that happens in his government. Was Mr. Kejriwal aware that these 200 bighas of land was bought from ill-gotten income? Was Mr. Kejriwal aware that they were bought in the vicinity of unauthorized colonies that then were regularized while Mr. Satyendar Jain was in that position? Is that why Arvind Kejriwal is compelled to support Satyendar Jain? Now, this is a question that only Arvind Kejriwal can answer.
So he can answer, but are you insinuating that he's hand in glove with Mr. Jain?
No, I'm just asking a question. So let me give you two positions that Mr. Kejriwal can pick from. One, he can say, I did not know Mr. Jain operated on his own. Somehow the entire government was put in this position where Mr. Jain bought land around colonies, then regularized colonies so that the cost of that land goes up, the value of that land goes up, and none of us were party to Mr. Jain's crime. He can say that. Or
Or?
They knew. They knew.
Okay, in conclusion, today not only has Mr. Kejriwal given a clean chit, but he's also urged you, the centre, to give a Padma Vibhushan, because he is a Kattar Deshbhakt, and a Padma Vibhushan is what Mr. Jain should be getting.
Deshbhakts don't loot money. Deshbhakts don't do hawala. Is that what Mr. Arvind Kejriwal's position is? That hawala operations in this country should be given the national highest civilian award? In his entire effort to protect Satyendar Jain, my appeal to Mr. Kejriwal is, can you not besmirch those people who have received the highest civilian award, especially in the last 8 years? They are men and women of distinction in our country who have given much. There are many who are awarded posthumously for giving their lives for this country. Can Mr. Kejriwal not compare them to a hawala entry operator?
Okay, I will leave it at that. Thank you very much, Ms. Smriti Irani, for having spoken to us. Another week to go until when the ED has custody of Mr. Satyendar Jain. And until then, of course, the evidence is before you. Thank you.
The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break.
Powered by eBix Cash. हर खुशी के लिए काफी है.
Helps beat sensitivity fast. Sensodyne Rapid Relief.
Water, induced with immunity of vitamin C.
Introducing Faber Sea Guard, RO with vitamin C filter. Now water provides immunity.
You're watching The News Hour at 10.